Last year, when the global fashion industry was badly hit by pandemic, several fashion brands had only two options. One was to either file for bankruptcy, or second was to completely shut down. At this adverse time, there were two legendary brands that just did not survive the pandemic, but they also made incremental profits. The most fascinating thing about both these brands is that they both started preparing for such situation long time ago. And today in this video, we are going to learn those strategies so that we can apply that in our businesses. And with today's two case studies, you are also going to witness that fashion industry is revamping itself by eliminating all those fashion businesses which has a traditional mindset, and it is creating an enormous space for young entrepreneurs who has modern and futuristic mindsets. Every year, Forbes magazine publishes a list of the richest people of this planet. So if you look at that list, you will always see that the top 10 people are either from the tech industry or they are from investment sector. So people like Jeff Bezos from Amazon, Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook and Instagram, the Google brothers, Larry Ellison and Larry Page, Bill Gates of Microsoft, or Warren Buffett. So all these names would always be there in the top 10 list. Now, it is quite understandable that, these guys are actually making products which are being used by billions of people all across the globe. So we are talking about Amazon and Facebook and Instagram and Microsoft. So it's quite obvious. But there is one industry whose product is used by every human being on this planet. This industry is so essential to humanity that even if you are hungry and you don't have food, but you would be still using the product from this industry. It's quite confusing to know that there is one product that people will use even if they're hungry. So let's look at yourself. Right now, I'm damn sure that you are using the product from this industry. Just look at yourself. Yes, actually, I'm talking about the clothes that we are wearing. And I'm actually referring to the apparel industry. The importance of apparel industry was understood by one civil engineer in 1984. And this realization eventually made him the richest man on this planet in 2021. Let me tell you his name. His name is Bernault Arnault. Bernault Arnault was a civil engineer who, after doing his engineering, was very interested in real estate. But as he was working in real estate, he soon realized that he has fascination for fashion industry. And he actually wanted to conquer the fashion world. So in 1984, he acquired the company that had control over one of the most popular luxury brand, Christian Dior. And as soon as he acquired this company, he laid off almost 9,000 people, for which he's also known as the Terminator. But he actually had to do it to strategize the expenses of the company and to bring the company back to his health. It took him 5 years to bring that company back to profit. In 1988, he invested in the biggest fashion conglomerate of the world, which is LVMH, which stands for Moet Hennessy, Louis Vuitton, and became the chairman in 1989. Now visualize this. It is only 5 years that this civil engineer has got into fashion industry, and he has acquired the most valuable luxury brand, both Christian Dior and Louis Vuitton, under his control. His vision for conquering the fashion industry was so strong that right now LVMH controls around 60 subsidiaries and each manage a small number of prestigious brands. In totality, it is 75 brands. So if you're wearing Louis Vuitton, Christian Dior, Givenchy, Marc Jacobs, Stella McCartney, Kenzo, you are actually wearing fashion coming from one single fashion conglomerate. And now I want to tell you that this is not the first time that somebody from fashion industry has actually become the richest person on this planet. It has happened before. And the second story has a lot of similarity with the story of Dhirubhai Ambani of India. Legend has it that Dhirubhai Ambani used to sell polyester fabric on his cycle, and from there he established one of the biggest Indian company, Reliance, which had a net worth of 3.8 lakh crores Indian rupees, which is almost half of the GDP of Indian capital New Delhi, which is 7.8 lakh crores. So coming back to the second story, in 2016, the whole world was shocked to see that there was somebody who actually overtook Bill Gates to become the richest person on this planet, and he was from fashion industry. So this was the first time that somebody from fashion industry has risen up to that level. This man was Spanish billionaire businessman Amancio Ortega, the founder and former chairman of Inditex Group. This otherwise introvert business genius started from a humble beginning by working in a tailor shop, learning shirt making, and in a few years he built a global empire of fashion clothing with a net worth of 75,000 crores. In 1975, this genius started his business by starting fashion retail store Zorba, which was later changed to Zara. In 10 years, in 1980s, Ortega disrupted the whole company structure by changing the design, manufacturing, and distribution processes to reduce lead times and react to new trends in a quicker way, which he called instant fashion. This visionary stressed on the usage of information technology and using groups of designers instead of individual designers for any project. While other brands were offering 4 to 8 collections in a year, Zara was offering 112 collections. There is a special reason why I am including both these companies in today's video. Last year, due to pandemic, fashion industry was badly hit, and I think 95% of fashion businesses went into losses. But there were these two giants who were actually able to survive through the pandemic, and they actually made profits. Where LVMH is in the luxury sector and Inditex is catering to the mass market, we could easily figure out that if you have strong foundation of a company and futuristic vision, you are able to survive any kind of adversity. So let me tell you why Zara became so successful. So basically, Ortega envisioned that with the onset of technology, more and more people are getting much better exposure to fashion, and they would be requiring a lot more styles than what the current fashion brands are offering. So in order to get his vision in line, he designed a supply chain which was to make lot more styles than production, which means Zara is producing 12,000 designs every year compared to other brands who might be producing 2 to 5,000 styles per year. So there is a remarkable difference in the number and variety of styles that Zara is offering. And Ortega also understood that they don't need to create a lot of production of a single piece. So they started limiting the production number. Now if you see, the new consumer wanted more styles and more frequently. But unfortunately, the older model of supply chain were designed to make less number of styles but more production. For example, a company like Gap will produce somewhere between 50,000 to 200,000 pieces of a single style. But Zara supply chain was designed in an absolutely opposite manner, where they would make more number of styles and less production. More number of styles allowed Zara to change their product every 2 weeks, which gave them 3 advantages. So number one was, since every style has very limited number of pieces in the store, so if a consumer doesn't buy a piece which he likes urgently, then on his next visit, he might not get that piece. So that created an urgency in the mind of the consumer that when they saw a style, they had to buy it then. The other model, where there were so many pieces of the same style hanging on the rack, actually prompted consumer to delay their buying. Now advantage number 2 is, since every 2 weeks the store looks new, the frequency of consumer walking into a Zara store is 17 times higher than any other store. The third advantage is very crucial because Zara is able to sell 85% of the product at full MRP, where the industry level is 60 to 70%. Only about 18% of Inditex clothing doesn't sell well and must be discounted, which is half the size of other brands, which has an average of 35%. So these 35% are the garments which are not getting sold well in other brands, where Zara is only doing 18% of it. So the other companies, they understood why Zara was so successful, so they tried imitating Zara's supply chain. But it was almost next to impossible because their supply chain was so big that making any changes to that supply chain would have costed them a lot of money. That is where this is a great opportunity for new designers who can actually calibrate their businesses according to the Zara model. Now, when I was researching both these companies, I found that there were a lot of commonality in both the companies, which were the major key drivers for their business growth during the pandemic. Now, let me tell you some common strategies which is shared by both these companies. The first one is both of them has very robust online presence with highly efficient logistics by which they are able to provide a unique buying experience to their consumer. Let me tell you a personal example so that you understand this well. So I ordered a couple of jumpers from a competitive company. So I ordered for 3 jumpers so that I can keep 1 and I can return the balance 2. So after placing the order, I got that order in 4 days, and then I chose my favorite jumper and the balance 2 I wanted to return back. So I requested for the return of the jumper. I waited for a week and nobody came in. So it was almost 10 days when I thought that I should write a mail because I also wanted my money back, right? So I wrote a mail to these guys, to which I got a revert the next day that somebody is going to come and collect your pickup. And I waited 5 more days, nobody came in. And I was also fearful that after a month, I would not be able to return these. And then I got a revert back that somebody would be collecting it, and nobody came for a month. Nobody came. Then again, I wrote them a message. This is no way to treat a customer because I don't need these jumpers and nobody's coming in, and you're saying that somebody will come. And then I get a revert that there was a shortage of staff. Now it has been 6 months. Nobody has come from that place. Neither my money has got resolved. Nothing. Now, this is a very bad buying experience that I went through, and which is not at all good for a brand of that repertoire. I also ordered a shirt from Zara. On the next day, I got the shirt, but it was not fitting me appropriately. So it was too large for me. So I ordered for the returned. And the next day, there was somebody who was there to pick the garment back. Now, this kind of service I have only seen from Amazon. And Zara was able to do their deliveries in an Amazon fashion. And that is when I started comparing both these brands and the kind of consumer experience that I got. So this kind of customer experience is so crucial in the age where everything is going digital, that you cannot have poor logistics when it comes to the delivery and return of product. Now, Zara has conquered that whole supply chain, that whole distribution, whereas others are still struggling to do it. So Inditex and LVMH brands have made sure that not only their online sites are updated with consumer-friendly, immersive interface, but also strong systems for rapid delivery and returns. Now let's come to the second common strategy that both these brands share, and that is your social media presence. Even if LV is 170 years old and Christian Dior is 75 years old, these companies have heavily invested in their social media presence. Louis Vuitton has more than 44 million followers on Instagram, and Christian Dior has 37 million, and Zara has 44.6 million followers. So to compare this with other brands, United Colors of Benetton has only 700,000 and Forever 21 has 14 million followers. So this clearly showcases their supremacy over social media space too. So these brands, both Ortega and Arnault, has understand the importance of social media and then they make sure that they have a very strong presence on social media. It is a well-known fact that during the pandemic, only the brand that had some sort of e-commerce or digital presence were able to survive the pandemic or maybe made some profit. And Arnault and Ortega was so futuristic that they started working on their digital presence long time back. Even when 98% of all their sales were happening through their brick and mortar stores, both of them were very, very adamant of building a very, very strong e-commerce presence. And that vision actually safeguarded them in the time of pandemic. Actually, during pandemic, both of them had to shut down hundreds of stores, but all the losses that they occurred due to the shutdown of stores were compensated through their digital sales. Whereas other companies who have not given enough prominence to build their digital presence, they had to suffer a lot because all their stores were shut and they had to bear inconceivable losses. I said in the beginning of the video that fashion industry is revamping itself by eliminating all the fashion brands which have a traditional mindset, and it is creating a lot of space for new bright fashion entrepreneurs whose business are calibrated for current and future customers. So there are these 3 takeaways from this video. Number 1 is there is a lot of new space for young fashion designers since almost 100 of fashion brands have shut down or filed for bankruptcy in last 5 years. And number 2 is fashion industry would be ruled by those designers who have very strong e-commerce and very strong social media presence. And if you look at the millennials or Gen Z, we see that all these skills come very naturally to them. And number 3 is because of the social media connectivity, the world is going to really embrace all the ethical brands, and as well as it is going to reprimand or pressurize all the unethical brands which can further result into their elimination. So if you envision yourself for having a fashion label in future, you should research on 2 things. The first one is you have to research about the current and futuristic consumer behavior. And the second thing to research is you have to investigate the business model of the successful companies, and you have to incorporate all the best practices into your organization. So here I would conclude this video, and if you have learned something valuable from this video, please like the video, and if you know somebody who would be benefited out of this video, please share it with them, and with your subscription you would really help us to grow our channel. So that's all for now. I'll be seeing you on Tuesday.